I'm a guy that's 24. Each day I build some more. I like episode 7 and episode 8. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here, back in with another video, and I am bringing you another LEGO Star Wars MOC showcase. You guys know the drill. The links to all of these builds are in the description, so make sure you go support the builders. They certainly deserve it. The first build we're going to take a look at today is titled Darth Legacy by Darth Bjorn. It has a pretty cool story behind it. It's basically a group of guys going around trying to find more about the Emperor's secrets and basically like things he may have had going on beyond the grave. You guys know how I feel about the Emperor's contingency plans, but I appreciate a good MOC all around. So this is basically a room filled with all sorts of Imperial relics. The first really nice thing about this build is the color scheme. The light grays, dark grays, black, and then the splashes of red all around make this look like such a nice MOC. There's tons of little Easter eggs and relics all throughout the build, like I said, with the suits and the capsules. There's little Sith figures, I imagine, on shelves on the walls, and even an Inquisitor helmet. So many cool little things to really sink your teeth in with this build. One of the things that really stick out to me, and is just a cool technique that you could really use to spice up the aesthetic of the walls in your build, is this wall right here. Oftentimes, if you just have a bunch of tiles and you need to cover a surface, you just kind of lay them about. But this looks a little bit more deliberate than that. This looks like he was going for a specific kind of random technique, but not really so random. Like, it looks good enough. It doesn't look bad on this wall, and I just love the texturing on this wall. There's a use of the sandwich tiles here. There's even the shield pieces just to create some cool and interesting shapes in the wall. Like, and that's so cool to me. Like, he could have easily just made this a flat light gray surface and you wouldn't even think twice about it. But the fact that he uses these various tiles here on the wall, I think it just makes it look so much more visually interesting. So that's pretty cool. I also like the collection of RA7 droids over on the back wall. I have no idea what the Emperor would want with so many of those, but he has them, and that's kind of funny to me. I imagine he did a lot of Photoshop work to get a lot of these red panels to have these prints on it, which is still pretty cool. Like, I can have an appreciation for that, because I mean, there's Arabish all over these. I can't decipher Arabish. If you guys want to do that, be my guest. If there's anything interesting written on this, please let me know. I'd love to know. Another cool thing that I keep seeing here on these MOC showcases, and it makes me want to try it, he's using the flick-fire missile bricks, the actual launchers, as a design in the floor. But I like this because, like, usually you'd see it in the wall, but he's using actually quite a bit of them here, and he's actually like fused them pretty seamlessly and cleverly with other pieces in the build, like especially here in this corner where the two bricks kind of come, and then there's the tile, like the 45-degree tile. I don't know how you describe that. It's like a cut corner tile almost that basically just makes a 90-degree angle, and it swings around to the other side where more of those flick fire launchers continue, and then I don't know, it's just a pretty cool design in the floor there. And finally, a really cool thing about this build is I believe he's using a lot of stickers from the Darth Vader castle set, which is really perfect for this, right? It has that black and red kind of ancient Sith aesthetic, and you can see them really all around this build, and I think that's pretty cool. Like, that is a great use for those stickers. Overall, this is just a pretty cool looking vignette. The colors are very interesting. There's some cool techniques, especially in that wall back there, and there is even an interesting story to connect to it. The next build we have to look at is by Remco Rohaan, and it's a Tatooine MOC, but it's a twist on the traditional Tatooine MOCs that we might see of those docking bays. It's actually Boba Fett delivering Han Solo in carbonite to Jabba the Hutt, which is pretty cool. I've actually never seen a MOC of this depicted, so I like this idea right from the get-go. I think this is just a very clever thing to do, to not just do the typical docking bay 94, but instead like really do something creative with it, something we haven't seen before. There are a few really nice things about this build. I want to start off on the right side of the build. We can see a little hut. We have some Jawas kind of peeking out of it, which is just a nice way to fill up some what would otherwise be negative space on the build. I would imagine if like this were a complete MOC, the ring would go all around the slave one, and maybe this hut wouldn't be here, but I don't know, I like it. Like, if you have extra space in a MOC and you just want to throw something there to break up some negative space, I mean, I'm all for it. Go for it, man. I also really like the moisture evaporator build that's kind of behind this building. That looks pretty cool. Those moisture evaporator builds just always look really nice in LEGO for whatever reason. We have a big UCS Slave 1, And the nice thing about having this here is you get a really good appreciation for the scale of this MOC. Like, I think if you just took this out of the build, it maybe wouldn't be so obvious how huge this thing is, but this is a large scale MOC. Like, the UCS Slave one is huge, and it's just, you know, like maybe 30 to 40% of this entire build. So that's pretty incredible. I think he really knocked it out of the park with this curved wall design for the outside of the hangar. It's so seamless. It looks fantastic from the outside. There's a good use of like discoloration in there, so you can see he's using some dark tan masonry bricks. He even has some studs stacked up right here on the corner. There's also some of those profile bricks in tan, just this nice use of color here. He didn't go overboard with it, but there is still just some really nice use of color in these walls here. He even have some battle droids hanging around with an astromech droid. Got some stormtroopers posted up as well, and then we got them boys Jabba and Bib, presumably picking up the bounty. This next photo is cool for a few reasons. One, it's a side view of the shot, so you get a much better look at the surface of the curved wall, but you also get to see this MOC with the lights on. There's some lights implemented throughout this MOC, and those pretty cool light fixtures. I actually love the design he came up with for those light fixtures. Those look really nice. I appreciate the subtle things done to just really make this MOC look more lively, like the cargo crates sitting around. If you look on top of the docking bay, you see some of the classic Tatooine style domes. Those look pretty cool on the roof, and then other black and light gray bits just represent the mechanical parts of Tatooine. This is just a very good interpretation of the Tatooine aesthetic for sure. And this next photo is just an even closer up shot of the scene. Once again, the lights just make this look so incredible, so cool. Man, there's something about lights on a Star Wars MOC that just goes such a long way. And I also had a few other pictures I wanted to show you guys of this MOC in lower light settings with the lights illuminated. It just looks so cool. I love this. I would actually just love to see him continue this MOC and maybe at some point make a full ring. It'd be cool to see what other interesting things he can include in this docking bay. I have been so excited to show you guys this next MOC. It's been on my list for a while now, and the fact that I get to present it to you now is just so fulfilling to me, because I think this build is so cool. I don't think it's a particularly popular build. I think it certainly deserves far more recognition than it's gotten up until this point. So this is basically a Republic base on Orto, Plutonio, first seen in the Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 15. Cossy is the builder. He basically says in the description of the build that he wanted to do something where the Republic, after they had basically made peace with the Talls, the natives to this area, them setting up a base here. So this is kind of his imagining of what that might have looked like, and there is just so much to sink your teeth into here. I first want to give him credit for making a Republic base in like a snow and mountainous planet. I feel you don't typically see that with Republic bases built in Lego, so I think that just initially makes it so cool to look at, so interesting and so unique in that regard. And there's so much going on here. If we look out front, there's a gunship parked in the snow. There's a door that's the main entry to the base, and you'll notice this throughout the entire build. He's using these bar pieces as icicles essentially, and it works so well in my opinion. I love how there's this greebling all around the door, using those like pneumatic steering wheel pieces and just various light gray pieces thrown in there to represent greebling. It all looks good. It doesn't look too random. It doesn't look too cluttered. I think there's just the perfect variety of pieces in there to make it look like a really nice and detailed door. If we look over to the right, we get a look at a shield generator. It's kind of a Hoth style shield generator in the corner, and that looks pretty cool. Like, I like that it's angled and it's kind of just settled into the rocks over there. And we even have a trooper, I guess, manning it, possibly repairing it, who knows, and a little console and just some piles of snow around it. Just things that make it look organic, make it look realistic. To the top right side, we can see just some mechanical bits. That's actually kind of cool because there's actually a walkway here. He's also used some light blue or light trans blue pieces in there to give it a little bit of color, and he's using the Death Star planet pieces to make domes there. So that's really cool as well. Just nice usage of parts there. We go all the way over to the left side. We have a satellite. There is a TC-4 droid hanging out, and he's with a snowtrooper. He actually mentioned in the description of this MOC that Lego never made the snow variations of the clones, and rather than just like trying to buy custom ones, he figured, you know, at some point down the line, maybe they would have, you know, fully switched over to this type of gear, kind of like what we saw with the Galactic Marines. So like this is obviously later on in the Clone Wars towards the end of it, and things would look more Imperial like, so that explains why he decided to use snowtroopers, and I think that is totally acceptable. Finally, right above the door, there's another, I mean, I would say it's not necessarily an entrance, but it's basically just a building sitting on top of the base, and it just looks really cool. I love the slanted areas with the greebling pieces, and those look really nice. There's even another satellite up top, and I gotta give Ben credit, like these are some incredible satellite builds. Like this thing looks awesome. Like I can't see anything wrong with it. It's such a unique and nice looking satellite build on top of this MOC. One of the things I really like about this build is how he's like, it's a base obviously and it's built into the snow, but there's like these buildings that have kind of been built on top of it as well, and I just like that there's like doors and exits and things like that that just show, you know, how the minifigs have access to so many different areas in this space. I don't know, just little things like that, like this little area right here on the side of the build, and it just makes it feel so much more realistic to me. Like, yeah, like this is a base and there's people walking around in areas to be explored. I just think that's really cool. This could have been so much more simple than he made it, but the fact that he added in all of these areas to it just makes it that much cooler. And then finally to the top left, we have an AT-RT out on patrol with a couple of clones as well. So there's just this first shot. I haven't even shown you guys the inside of this build. There is so much to look at. Like there's so many cool things on the outside of this build. This clone base is literally unlike any other clone base that I've seen. If we move over to the next photo, we get a better look at basically the back of the interior of this build. And the first thing you'll notice, and this is so freaking cool to me, is that he's actually continued the mountains on the underside of them to the inside of the base, and that is so freaking cool to me. Like it's one thing to have the terrain, you know, kind of be the outside of the MOC, but to continue it and try to basically show like, yeah, this is literally built into a mountain on the inside of the base is just a step further, and I love that. I love the icicles hanging all about the ceiling of the build. I love these rock structures that he's constructed that hang down from the ceilings. Like that is just so awesome to me. Like what a just great job on that alone. But back to the command center, I like that he's used these 4x6 trans blue panel pieces to kind of represent the hollow screens that they have all around. There's stickers used on them. That's all very cool. I love when people build these command centers in Lego, especially when they have the main hollow table in the middle and that trans blue asteroid piece representing some planet. Like that is just so freaking cool to me. I love that so much. There's cargo crates all around. Once again, cargo crates and Star Wars MOCs go hand in hand. Like if you want to spruce up a MOC, man, throw in some cargo crates. That's how you do it. Over to the left side, there's actually a little bit of a hangar, and it's pretty cool. There's a custom version of Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptor there. You can see Obi-Wan's hopped out talking to a snowtrooper in the area. And then once again, there's just droids rolling around. Another thing, like if you want to spruce up a MOC, toss in some Astro droids rolling around, man, you are good to go. Another really cool thing about the interior of this is this little balcony that's kind of built into the wall here. So it's a level above the ground, but it's still not quite that top level. And it just looks really nice. Like just little subtle things like this, once again, like it just makes a base feel so much more realistic when you have, you know, various areas, various balconies and stuff like that thrown into it to really make it a little bit more complex than just your typical base, you know, your typical flat base with basic levels just going up. This next picture just shows off another side of the interior of this build. I think this is basically around the corner on another side. I love the piles of snow chilling everywhere. I think those look pretty cool. I love that he's used the arches for the doors here. Like this is a nice, cool way to make, you know, your doors look nice. Like the actual door design really isn't that complex. Like it's light gray bricks with a dark gray plate in the middle with some trans clear round 1x1 pieces in there, but the arches are what really make these doors look unique. So I often find myself having to design walls and doors, and I'm just looking for, you know, new techniques. Nothing that goes overboard, but just a way to make it look, you know, more complex than just your basic door. And this is a cool way to do it. The final room I have to show you is on the other side of the build, and this is pretty cool. It's basically Darth Maul and Savage Press. They've entered the base, they're attacking for whatever reason, and there's a cool little battle scene here. I love Savage using the Force on these snow troopers. They're all just being thrown all around the place. That is awesome to me. And Darth Maul is deflecting some laser bolts over on the left side of the build. There's a bark speeder also parked here as well. I love that the platform that Maul is on is built completely snot. Like, that just looks so cool to me. And even the pattern on the wall in the back just looks pretty cool and interesting. I've never seen that specific type of wall pattern done. So there's just so much to appreciate about this build. If we go back to the outside of the MOC, I really just cannot say enough good things about this build. Like, this thing is just so freaking cool. I think this is one of the more unique clone bases, and the builder just did such an excellent job on it. I honestly would just love to see something like this in person, and I would like if more people did builds like this. You know, more bases actually built into natural aspects of the MOC. Cough, Starkiller base cough, where you can really tell on the outside and the inside that like the landform is really impacting kind of how they designed the base. And like I said, it's just so cool that the rock work actually goes to the inside of the MOC in such an organic way. So Ben Cossy, you've been featured on this series many times, and I'm sure you'll be featured many more times, but this MOC in particular I think is really just incredible.